Well, everyone, welcome back to another live Q&A. I'm here with my faithful colleague, Alicia. How you doing, Alicia?
I'm hanging in there, Mark. I don't know about you, but we got freezing rain in Calgary and yesterday we got freezing rain and we walked outside and it's just like a skating rink. Everything was a
Ah,
skating rink. The sidewalks, the roads, the cars were spinning out. I could barely walk my kids to the bus stop. The dogs were slipping. It was insane. Anyways, so it's still fairly treacherous out there.
so you didn't put your skates on and skate to the bus stop with your girls?
Had the ice been a little bit thicker, then sure, but it's black ice, so nothing doing.
Excellent. Well, welcome everyone. Yes, that seems like the main point of discussion that Alicia and I have every time we do these live Q&As is what the weather's like in Canada. And from day to day, it can be, you know, it can be 20 degrees. Well, it could be minus 20, minus 30 degrees one day and plus 15 down here the next. And it's all over the map. So it's yeah, quite entertaining talking about
That's
the weather.
apparently what's going to happen, Mark. Apparently, the polar vortex is gathering and it's going to start circling down. So next week it's supposed to be like a 30-degree temperature difference. So
Wow.
I
Well,
guess
we've
we
got
need
a
to
ton of
enjoy it.
wind. We've had a ton of wind here, and as I look out the window, there's not too much snow left. It
Yeah.
all blows away. So yeah, we'll see what the week looks like coming ahead of us here. All right. So those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is the Canada Immigration Live Q&A. Express entry tends to drive a lot of what we do. So we've kind of got it titled the Express Entry Live, but we will answer questions about other areas of immigration. And we pretty much cover the gambit. About the only thing that we don't actively work a substantial amount is refugee matters, although Cedric is, that's in his wheelhouse as well. So there's not too much that we can't do other than maybe Quebec-based work within our firm, but we've got good colleagues and friends in the province of Quebec that we refer work to. So if this is your first time, make sure you give us a shout out. Let us know that it's your first time. Those of who've been consistent followers, welcome back. We appreciate you guys supporting us. Your questions are what makes these live Q&As so good. And it gives Alicia and myself a chance to share our knowledge and experience. And we've been at this for, well, probably around 20 years or so. Alicia's got a couple of years ahead of me and in the practice of law, but I think we both cut our teeth in the area about the same time. Yeah, so make sure that you post where you're tuning in from as well. We love to see that. Let's see who we got tuning in here, Alicia. So we've got Meet Shaw is back again. Hello. We've got Ozan. Ozan, good to see you. Always happy to tune in. I'm glad you posted a comment there. That's great. Over on the Facebook page, we've got Saida and a nice little emoji there. Not quite sure what that one is. Samantha's over in Jamaica. Welcome, Samantha. She says it's warm here. I bet it is. And my son Connor's down in Chile right now, and he said it's starting to heat up. So the evenings are pretty hot for him down there. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Oh, Vishal says, hello, I got my study visa thanks to a consult from Cedric. All right, well, I've got some applause for you guys. And so those of you who are tuning in as well, we're all immigration lawyers. And so there's four of us, Chanel and Cedric, Alicia and I. Cedric has his live Q&As that he does at different times because he's working in a different time zone than us. And it's, yeah, we absolutely love working and helping people. With that being said, that's a good segue into, I can't believe it's here already, but tomorrow morning, if you have not yet done this, click on the link below and or go straight to our firm website and this pop-up will appear. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Wow, I can't believe it's happening so quick. We are doing our a webinar. It's the first time in a long time that we've done a pre-registered webinar where you register, and then about 20 minutes before we go live at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, you'll get an email with the link to join in. And we're going to talk about the top 3 tips that I've got for you to avoid disaster in your study permit applications. And those that are looking at doing admissions in May or after this upcoming semester, now is the time to start thinking about it. And that's what we're going to cover in here. So if you haven't done this, get in there to the webinar, and there's going to be, lots of really good information. Chanel's going to pop in. Chanel does a lot of our study permit applications within the firm, and she's had a lot of really good success. And so she'll have a little presence there in that webinar as well. And she's got some special things that she's going to be sharing with you guys. So make sure that you join me tomorrow in that webinar first thing in the morning. And the reason we chose to do it at that time was because most people who are going to be interested in this are going to be outside of Canada. So I looked at the registration so far, and, I'd say we probably have almost 40% immigration consultants that have registered for it, and about 60% applicants. So let your friends know. 8 a.m. is designed to put it in a good position for people that are, say, in India and Pakistan or in Africa, other countries, so that you've got time outside of your regular work days to attend. So that's how we've got it set up. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Let's see. Okay.
And Mark, I guess we should send a happy Thanksgiving out to our American colleagues.
Yeah, we should. That's today? That's right. Mm-hmm. So happy Thanksgiving, yes, to everybody's in the States. Any of our listeners there tuning in from the US, please post a comment. Sayeda says, I'm also interested, please help. Okay, so this is another good segue. When you go to our website, and you will hear me click that little triangle, ring my triangle. And that is a signal that you really need to slide over to our firm website here, and you can click on Speak to a Lawyer. And this is the best place to start right here when you wish to retain us or hire us to help you with your applications. And we love doing that. Alicia's here, Chanel, Cedric, and myself. We're all kind of tucked in here, but it's really easy to book a consult. You click on the link and it pops up availability. Alicia's slammed with work right now. She has got availability on Monday, and you can usually find someone for sure when you're going through this process that has the availability to get you in really quick. So that is available. If you're in the case of Saida here, who's interested in pursuing options, that's the best way to do it. All right, let's see who else we have here. Oh, we've got Prashant, who's over in India. Thanks for connecting in. We have Kinjal, who's over in Toronto. Thanks for giving us a shout out. Excellent. We've got the Africa connection from Nigeria. It's my first time. Ferdinand, welcome. We'll give you an applause. Thanks for joining us. All right. And then we've got an ordinary person. First time joining as well from the UAE. You people are amazing, both Super Mark and Super Alicia. Thank you so much. I just had a consult this morning. I had two this morning. One was in Pakistan. The other one was in the UAE. And we do those consults via Zoom because the UAE doesn't like Skype. So that's how we set those ones up. All right. We got John Paul, who's also tuning in from Facebook. Good to see you. Thanks for connecting in. And let's see who else we have here that we can give a shout out to before we get to questions. Alva, as always, down in Peru. It's nice to see you as well. Thanks for connecting in. And Prashant says, excited for the webinar tomorrow. Already been refused twice. Oh, for the study permit. That is so hard. The best thing in the world is to consider hiring someone to help you right at the beginning. When you have a couple of refusals, it becomes a little bit more tricky, but sometimes the refusals can be challenged as well. And that's right in Cedric's wheelhouse. And Sayed is also from Pakistan. So good to see you that you're tuning in from over there. Okay, amongst us, is there a plan to do a Black Friday sale on the EE course like the last time? Because I'm thinking of buying it if that's the case. Amongst us, nope. I don't plan on doing a Black Friday sale for the Express Entry course. It's already Black Friday sailed because you're getting 4 hours of time with me. And realistically, that one-on-one time, and that's what the experience is like when I charge, that one, if we look at my hourly rate, it's probably over $1,000 of value that you get with the master classes, but we pool it when everybody purchases. So I think amongst us, at the price that it's at right now, you'll see that it's worth it. And that's a very good segue, because I also want to let people know that I am just about wrapped up my Canadian, the spousal sponsorship course. I'm just going to pull it up really quick here, and we'll just do a nice little segue into it. So the spousal sponsorship course, oh, look at, I got it on here too. Igor's got me everywhere. Okay, when you go here, you'll see within our, and I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit. Okay, so you'll see our spousal sponsorship course today wraps up. Great session with the attendees for the course. And then next week, well, the study permit course, I have it finally. After many years of popular demand, that is going to be, the masterclass going to be launched on December 12th to the 16th, but the course will be available December 1st, and you can purchase it right now and get a little bit of discount. And then yes, on Monday, wow, I got a lot going on here. We have another express entry masterclass that will be starting November 28th, but you have the ability, which is Monday, but you have the ability to log in right now. All right. So there's some of the offerings that we have available, and amongst us, I think you will find that it's well worth the price. Hopefully I can see you there. Okay. Let's see if we have any more shout outs. Elikim, good to see you. Says hello, Mark and Alicia. And yes, shout out Mark and Alicia from FIFA 2022 World Cup Qatar. Oh, how did he miss it? How did he miss that penalty shot? That's the question. Alfonso Davies, it's lots of pressure and a big stage, but I was really proud of our Canadian team, how well they played against Belgium, which, they are ranked number 2 and been playing their best football lately, but they're still ranked number 2. And so to have Canada really take it to them and have they had one little letdown and they made them pay, but 1-0 defeat is nothing to be ashamed of. That's for sure from our Canadian squad. So we will see how things play out. And Cedric is there. So Cedric is watching it. He sent us some pictures. He was at the game yesterday. So we are very, very jealous of Cedric.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Well, why don't we jump into some questions, Alicia? We'll dive right in. I guess we could address yesterday, Chanel and I had our prognostication once again regarding the rounds of invitations. So let's slide back here. And I said 492 and she did as well. And if we look at the totals right here, it was one lower than what we thought was going to happen. So 491 is how far it dipped down. And they still did their 4,750. And that's very interesting because I think a lot of people thought there would be a whole bunch of people now that were eligible that would be submitting their applications into the pool because of TEER. But the reality is many of those people who, and we talked about this yesterday, many of those people who are now eligible to go into the pool, their human capital is still quite a bit lower because they're, generally speaking, their knock codes were moving from a C level to, upwards to make them eligible under Tier 3. So that probably had a little bit of a role. But if you look at, who was in the pool immediately before, this is another interesting aspect. So you can see here, there were 1,227 that were over 500. And then these are effectively PNP nominees, although some people who have maybe a job offer that gives them 200 points or, maybe French might push up into that range. Generally speaking, these are mostly PNPs. So you can see above 500. And then now if we look at this, 491. So there were 3,031 people in the pool. You add it up, there's 3, there's 4, and then we're almost into 5. So almost all of these people here were all flushed out of the pool. So almost all of them. But because of the tiebreaker, if we go up here to the tiebreaker, you can see that the tiebreaker was October the 13th. So anyone who submitted their applications after October the 13th, submitted their profiles, that had a score of 491 weren't drawn. So anyone that was at 491 that had submitted after 11/22 Universal Time, they wouldn't have received an invitation to apply. One other thing I'll point out to you guys, some people are wondering, man, I haven't received my ITA yet. Why haven't I received it? Well, the invitations are open through pretty much a 24-hour window. So if you look at the full ministerial instructions, and we open this up, lots of people don't pay attention to this. We know that the tiebreaker, right? Right here, the tiebreaker is set October 13th. But if you go down here, you'll see the invitations to apply. I think it's here. Yes. Okay. May be issued under these instructions during the period beginning on November 23rd and ending on November 24th. So if you haven't received your invitation to apply yet, you don't need to panic just yet. they still have time throughout the day to send those out. And we've seen,
Except
oh, yep.
Except maybe you do need to panic because it
Okay.
depends on whether or not you've updated your knock to the new tier.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
that's where I thought you were going with that, Mark.
Yeah. Yep.
Because yes, if you've properly updated it, it might take up to 24 hours for you to get your ITA. But I don't know about you, a whole bunch of people have been struggling because what happened, of course, and we've talked about this,
Excuse me.
bless you, is that as of November 16th, so last Wednesday, they updated the new tier system. So NOC 2021 is now the new tier. And so instead of those 4-digit NOC codes, now there's 5-digit NOC codes. And for people
Yes.
who had existing Express Entry profiles, if you didn't go in and update your profile for your primary occupation and for your work experience, and if you're claiming arranged employment points, then you're not eligible to get an ITA. And immigration actually has been sending out emails to people. So hopefully people have been receiving those emails, but make sure that if you didn't get an invitation to apply and your CRS should have been over 491, the reason might be because you didn't go
Yep.
in and actively update your profile. So be really
Yep.
careful about that. Go
Yep.
do that right
Yep.
away.
That's a great point. Absolutely a great point. And so on our site, we have a bunch of different blog posts to guide you and give you direction and advice. On our YouTube channel, let's see here, on our YouTube channel, remember, you can always go here and you can actually search. And so if we type in TEER here and do a search, you can see Alicia and I, No More Knock 2016. How does the new tier system work? We did this one a couple months ago to prepare people. Igor just 8 days ago did a quick little update on the changes. I did a little profile tier Knock 2021, how to update your profile. I actually provide a little bit of explanation on that for people. And so we've got lots of content here on tier. So make sure that you check it out. But Alicia's 100% correct. When it comes to the actual granting of these invitations to apply, if you didn't update and resubmit your profile, re-enter it in and lock it in, then it's entirely possible that that is why you didn't potentially receive an invitation to apply. But that's something we can help you guys sort things out for sure. If you wish to book a consult, we can walk you through that process. All right. Okay, let's go and let's dive into some other questions here. Okay, this one is from Akbar, and I'm not quite sure what you mean, Akbar. Explain 93888 knock code for people received nomination before November 16th. Thank you. So, so knock 3 obviously is a tier 3. It's eligible, but I'm not sure exactly what. Alicia, do you have any thoughts on Akbar? What he's referring to here?
Well, it might be. So, one of the problems with this new tier rollout is that the system's a bit glitchy. So, I've been working with a few clients, and on the 23rd, the whole systems, people couldn't even access their profiles. It was down. Stuff was really, or actually on the 22nd, sorry, things were not working properly. The other thing that I have noticed is that there is a difference in terms of how IRCC is processing Express Entry profiles that have received an invitation to apply prior to November 16th versus people who have received an invitation to apply after November 16th. And so under the old NOC code, the 4-digit NOC code, and this is a problem that a couple of my clients are facing right now, they received their ITA prior to November 16th. But now when they're finalizing their EAPR, if they go in and look at their work experience, if they do anything in there, if they have to amend anything, it deletes their 4-digit NOC code and it makes them put in a 5-digit NOC code under the new tier system, which shouldn't be happening. It should be, because immigration in their emails to everybody has said, if you got an ITA before November 16th, use the old NOC codes, use the 4-digit codes. However, the system is not allowing 4-digit codes anymore. And so the problem is, if you put in your 5-digit code, when you look at your work history, it appears blank. It appears like there's no NOC code associated. And I don't know how IRCC is going to fix this, but we're working with our clients to try to tackle that issue. So I'm not sure, maybe that's what Akbar is getting at in terms of what's going on with his profile.
Yeah, and that's the dummy knock. Akbar, what he's referring to is there's some instructions that you enter in the dummy knock in some circumstances, but there's a lot of confusion about that, Akbar. So, yeah. So as far as explaining, we're still waiting for instructions from IRCC, in addition to the limited information that they've been pushing out there.
But if you're up against a deadline, right? If your EAPR is due really soon, then please book a consult because
Yep.
we might be able to help you work out a solution or work on your letter of explanation to try to come up with a way to explain what you're doing to IRCC so that hopefully you don't lose that ITA.
Yep. All right. Samantha says, in your experience, what is the current processing time for adding a spouse after COPR? How long before I get second passport request? So this is a tricky one, Alicia. So this is someone who wants to add their spouse, but they've already been issued their confirmation of permanent residence document, and probably, their permanent resident visa, and then say, wait a minute, I need to add my spouse quick. I wish, Samantha, that you would have reached out long before so we could have started that process. But but yeah, as far as timing, Alicia, what are your thoughts on where IRCC is at with their rocket fast processing times these days?
And I think I think Samantha, you might have said that you're in Jamaica because you said it was warm here. So that's good because if you did get an e-coper and you've actually already been landed, then game over, you're done. But if you
Yep.
are not in Canada and you're doing the regular landing process, then once you have that coper, make sure you don't travel on it until you have properly added your spouse, of course. Once you've added your spouse, immigration's going to have to go back. They're going to have to review your spouse's forms, make sure that they go through eligibility and admissibility. So make sure that there's no medical inadmissibility and no criminal or background security issues that they might have when they've reviewed basically the police certificates that are applicable for that spouse. The other thing is if you're outside of Canada and you don't have Canadian work experience, then you also have to really make sure that you can still prove that you're meeting those settlement funds for your increased family size. So if it's just you and your spouse, now you're going to have to meet the increased settlement funds for 2 people and prove that you've had that money available in your account. So be careful with how you do this to make sure that you're still meeting all the requirements for the federal skilled worker class. And then really in terms of the processing times, it does depend on the processing office, but also how many countries your spouse has lived in and how many basically police certificate clearances they've had to go do, because that'll add on processing time.
You bet. All right, Mariana. Let's start off with the applause here. She says, hey, Mark and Alicia from Toronto, no question today. Wanted to let you know I got my ITA yesterday. Thanks for your work in the course. You all got me through the waiting and anxiety. Truly, thank you. That is so awesome, Mariana. I am so happy for you. Yes, that's fantastic. So, so cool. Thank you for letting us know. All right, let's jump to our next question here. This one is from Uber, and Uber says, my EE profile became ineligible after updating the NOC. Job duties match exactly. My profile was valid before the NOC update and is not editable anymore. What can be the issue and what is the way forward? So I've seen a lot of this, Alicia. This is happening. And when it's locked, Uber, you need to redo your profile and put it in. And it sucks because you are probably going to lose your lock-in date. And this is one of the glitches. I don't know if you have any additional insight, Alicia.
Yeah, so Uber, before you delete everything, make sure to take screenshots of everything because you
Yep.
need to reproduce it if you're totally locked out. Like maybe it's a glitch, maybe you'll be able to get access to it again if you wait a few days. Um, Maybe you can reach out and talk to us about this directly so we can take a look. You can share your screen. We can try to figure out if there's any other solutions for you. I do know a few of our other clients also, they only have a few months of work experience in Canada. They start entering their work experience in Canada, even for a few months, as soon as TEER rolled over, and all of a sudden the system is saying they're eligible for CEC. So I was wondering if they were going to do a draw yesterday because of the glitches in the
Yep.
system.
Yep.
And I wonder what happened to those people who may have mistakenly got, CEC or said that the program said that they met the eligibility requirements for CEC if they didn't. So I think there's a bunch of problems in the system right now, and I'm sure IRCC is eventually going to work on it, but we're not sure exactly how and when.
Yeah. I'll just pull up Intelligent here. Thank you for the knowledge you share with us. My score's 498, did not receive an ITA in yesterday's draw. What could be the possible reasons? Thanks. So like Alicia said, there were two things, right, Alicia?
Yeah.
So one, you didn't update it, and yeah, go ahead. I'll let you answer that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so the best case scenario is maybe they just haven't sent you the ITA yet. If you went in and you properly updated your primary occupation and your work experience under the new tier system, so it should be a 5-digit code instead of the 4-digit code. If you did that from the window of November 16th until, I guess, early morning, November 23rd, you're okay. But a lot of people didn't realize they had to do that. And you couldn't actually do it before November 16th. So it was only when November 16th rolled around that people could actually go in and actively change their profile to that 5-digit code. If you didn't do that, you're not going to get an ITA. Immigration says you're not eligible for the ITA unless you actively go in and update your profile. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what happened.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's jump into a few more questions here. Vishal says, any tips for me, international student arriving in Canada? I'm assuming the study permit's probably already approved, Alicia, but maybe some
Yeah.
compliance tips.
Yeah, and this is the big one. I'm also a bit worried about students who saw that notice about being authorized to work, and then maybe they didn't realize that it only actually took effect in November 15th. So they announced it, and I hope that people didn't actually start working until it was implemented, which was the November 15th date. So, Vishal, be careful. You can take a look at IRCC's study permit conditions and make sure that you are completing your program, you're getting good marks, you're attending your classes, because it's the fact that you maintain active studies that allows you to work part-time. So don't get confused about part-time work or the ability to work as many hours as you want, because that's not going to actually qualify you for Canadian experience points. You're better off, as long as you can financially make it work a little bit if you need to, but make sure that you are focusing on your studies so that you graduate in the proper time you're supposed to graduate, you've met your study permit conditions, and then as soon as you've completed your program of studies, stop working. Once you have your completion letter and you can prove that you have completed your studies with that letter from your school plus the final transcripts, apply for your postgrad work permit. And from that day that you've applied for your postgrad work permit, that's when you can start to earn Canadian experience points for work. So just be careful about doing a good job at school.
Perfect. Great advice. Great advice, Alicia. When you're on the YouTube channel, you guys, right here and on the main screen, you can click on a little button here to join us. And so when you join and become a member of the channel here, it's $3 a month or something like that. You get loyalty badges, custom emojis, member shoutouts, and priority replies to the comments, as well as those who are, covering the super chats like Mariana here. So there's options for you guys to become, and there's going to be member only content as well that's going to be released. So just another little addition that we have. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's switch away from express entry, Alicia, and let's go to something that's kind of tricky. We may not be able to answer this question, but this is something that comes up sometimes. So, ordinary person says, question: a man with 2 wives will have an issue in applying for PR in Canada?
Potentially, yes. So this is something, normally when we're dealing with spousal sponsorships, one of the eligibility requirements is not being married to somebody else. So you cannot, of course, sponsor somebody if you're legally married to a different person. And so under Canadian rules, it is bigamy to be married to 2 people at the same time. And so it is a potential ground of inadmissibility depending on what's happened and when, and whether there's a separation or a potential divorce. So these are all kind of thorny issues that we'd need a whole bunch more information about. So for sponsorship, you cannot sponsor, if one person is a Canadian permanent resident, you can't be sponsored for permanent residency if you are legally married to somebody else. If you're applying under an economic category and you want to come to Canada and you want to bring a spouse, then immigration is not going to allow you to bring 2 spouses ever. And then, of course, you still need to deal with the potential bigamy issue. So that is something that could for sure cause problems in your immigration application.
Yeah, very much so. Intelligent added a little bit of follow-up. I created a new profile on November the 22nd with knock 2022. So I'm assuming that's the 2021 knock. So, all right. Well, there we go. Okay, next question. Kinjal says, due to the new knock code, my CRS is going down from 492 to 485. I'm not getting an ITA as such. Please provide your insight on this glitch and draw. And there's a little bell, Kinjal. We need to look at a whole lot more. Alicia, I don't know if you have any other insight other than the reality that, wow, we just need more to be able to provide any helpful information here.
Yeah, Kinjal, we'd need to go through and look at everything that you're claiming points on in your profile and try to figure out where the difference in the CRS is. So if you've taken screenshots, then you can take a look at your CRS calculation from what it was, and then take a look at the CRS calculation now, and it's going to give you a breakdown for each line item. And so you can try to compare what it was before and what it is now to figure out what is the problem. In which section are you losing points? And then we can try to go and figure out why.
Prashant says, new to this channel, if I wish to book a consultation for my study visa file, which is full of complications, including to refusal, should I book it with you, Mr. Holthy, or one of your associates? I recommend that you connect with Alicia. And it's easy to do. All you have to do is just go to our website right here. And when you click on Speak to a Lawyer, Alicia is right here. And so all you have to do is click on Book a Consult, and the rest is history. All right, let's keep zipping through here. Next up is Anant. And Anant says, hey, Mark, AOR, the 22nd of October was passed, medical. 4th of November, biometrics done. 8th of November, biometrics are done on 8th of November. So has this moved fast? When can I expect passport requests? Nowadays, I've seen people getting passport requests in 2 to 2.5 months. Well, the reality is, I'm assuming it's express entry that you're referring to here, Anand. But yeah, Alicia, it's all over the map. So
it is all over the map. It depends where you're applying from. It depends if they have any things that are going to trip them up with respect to accompanying dependents. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you might be a single applicant, in which case it may, in fact, be a faster processing time for you. But of course, I mean, if you look at the online IRCC processing times, it's huge. It's very, very long right now. They are saying that they're aiming for their 6-month processing standard. But if you do check it out, and we're not sure, I guess, if you're an in Canada or an outside Canada applicant. But CEC, they're still saying 19 months.
yeah.
So yes, we've had some people who've been able to be approved really quickly, right? We've brought on a few of our successful applicants in recent past, and it has been maybe 3 months. But it is possible too that things are still going to get bogged down.
Yeah. Right now, we're seeing probably express entry PNPs go the fastest in some instances, but yeah, the non-PNP are still really high. When we look at the skilled workers, federal skilled worker, they're definitely under promising. And then when people's applications get approved in 3 months, they're over delivering, which is a nice shift, I'll be honest, compared to the old days when they had indicated that everything was just 6 months, when we knew for a fact it was over 20 months. So there we go. Okay, this one is from Mauricio. He says, hello, Mark and Alicia. Always a delight to listen to you. I'm writing you from Toronto. One question. Can I claim maintain status if I apply a work permit extension the exact day that my work permit expires?
So Mauricio, be careful, be really careful about this. Immigration uses UTC time. And so if you are doing an online application, then make sure that you have checked what UTC time is, because if you roll over, and it's usually, well, depending on your time zone, it might be like 6 to 10 hours difference from what you think the end of the day is. So as long as you still are within the same day using UTC time, as long as you apply for that work permit extension or change of status within that same day, then IRCC will accept your application. If you have submitted that application after the timestamp rolls over for the new day UTC, you're done for and you're out of status and you need to do restoration, and it's a pain.
Yes.
So be careful.
All right, two-part question. This is Sarum, a little continuation from yesterday. Okay, I got my police clearance from India on August 2021, applied from Canada, and I haven't left India after that. Okay, so this is where you're throwing it off, Sarum. This is the same thing you did before. So I think what you mean here is I haven't returned back to India since you obtained it. Well, really, since you have got it from Canada. So can I still use that? And then the follow-up is the PCC for my application now, as it does not have an expiry date but just the issue date as August 2021, or do I need a new one? So I'll finish this one, Alicia, because we had a little bit of a go around. Once again, Sarum, we're gonna go right here, and I'm gonna show everybody because it's important for everybody to learn the source of all goodness and information. I love going to the permanent residence completeness check. And if you scroll down here, and let's see if we can hit police clearances, transportation, mandatory documents, medical, police clearance certificates. Okay. So one thing you'll see here as we go through it, says for applicants' current country of residence. So this is not you. So you're in Canada. And if you obtained it while you were in Canada and not in what do we have here? This is, I think, India. Is that in India? Then the police clearance must have been issued no more than 6 months before the submission of your EIPR. So if it's the country where you currently live, the police clearance certificate, or the country where you were residing when it was originally issued, then it's only valid for 6 months. For countries in which the applicant no longer resides, the police certificate must have been issued after the last time the applicant stayed in that country for 6 months or more in a row. That should be you, at least based on how I understand your situation. Police certificates meeting the above requirements can be accepted even if they have an expiry date that is passed. Well, in your situation there, the reality is many police clearance certificates don't have expiry dates. So we don't even worry about that. It's all about the issue date and then the circumstances like we talked about there. So, yeah. So there we go. Hopefully that clarified it. So if what I understand to be true, that you obtained the police clearance certificate from Canada, you haven't gone back to India, then it continues to remain valid.
But make sure you haven't gone back to India.
But make sure you haven't gone back to India, because that could potentially, alter things. Okay, Samantha says, in your experience, what is the current processing time for we already got this one. We already got that one. Okay, let's clear off a couple more. Okay, Ozan. Ozan says, should we expect a new pilot program, Alicia, for particularly international students transitioning from TEER to, as the government has proclaimed earlier, just because the TEER system has been implemented? Thank you both. So what do you think about new programs, Alicia?
I think it's probably unlikely that they will implement a new program. I think it's more that they are now going to try to target draws. And so we don't know exactly what targeted draws will look like. Maybe they're going to be targeting a particular knot code. That would be easy, right? They're just going to pick a 5-digit knot code, and anybody that has that 5-digit knot code as their primary occupation or maybe their current work experience, maybe those people get an ITA. But it could also be something else, like it could be French speaking, or it could be Canadian work experience within a certain time period. So we don't know what that will look like, but we do know that the addition of TEER has actually broadened the people who are eligible to apply for express entry, which is a good thing. It's another tool that immigration has to be able to kind of broaden the net of who they are able to scoop up and allow those people to have a transition pathway to PR. The other thing that we know that's starting to happen is that the provinces are getting more discretion and more ability to try to choose programs for municipalities or to target certain occupations. So you'll see this in BC, you'll see this in Alberta with tech draws, that sort of thing. When you look at particular occupations in demand for some of the provinces, that's where the provinces have much more flexibility, and they can be a bit nimble and they can choose people depending on the parameters that they want to have. And almost every province has some sort of international graduate stream. So if you've graduated particularly from a school in that province, then you have a better chance usually at a PNP nomination in that province.
Yes. Fabrice says, Alicia, hello, Mark and Alicia, writing from Toronto here. I need help with my express entry application and my brother's study visa. When I book a 15-minute consult, can we discuss both dossiers? So what's your thoughts on that, Alicia?
So, I mean, keep in mind that in 50 minutes, we can definitely never go through an entire Express Entry application. It's just not possible. We cannot do a professional job. So, a consultation is meant to answer some targeted questions that people have about their application, and for us to be able to dive down into your situation and get some personal details to understand in order to provide you good advice. But we can't review applications in that period of time. It's just not possible. The other thing is normally if you're looking at a brother's study permit application, normally we want to talk directly to your brother and understand what's going on for him, and to be able to look particularly at his issues. And so probably 50 minutes is not enough time to go through both situations. I would encourage your brother to have a separate consult, so that we can get his personal information and understand what his background is and what his prior issues with applying for a study permit might have been. So I would say, you can do a 30-minute for you, your brother can do a 30-minute. If you know that you need more time or you've got a whole bunch of things in your Express Entry profile, it starts with doing that consultation. So you can book that 30-minute consultation. And if you realize, uh-oh, we need to go through a whole bunch more detail, then you can look at retaining us to do the collaborative review.
Sarum says, thank you so much for answering my questions patiently. You're the best. Well, good question, Sarum. Good question. Okay, Sanshari says, I'm on a spousal open work permit when my wife and I apply for PR. I think the question is, do we both need to get the transcripts verified through WES?
Mhm. So, and I'm assuming this is another Express Entry question, but it could be PNP in general. Most of the programs require you, if you are claiming points for a spouse and the spouse's education, then yes, you need to get an education credential assessment. It doesn't necessarily need to be through WES. So if you take a look at the IRCC website, or Igor actually wrote a nice article about this on our blog about education credential assessments and what kind of the benefits are or the drawbacks of different types of education credential assessment organizations. WES is one of them. And there are other recognized organizations. It has to be one on the list from IRCC because they have to be accredited to be able to do these education equivalency assessments. But you can choose any of them that you want. It depends on the timelines, and it also depends on what kind of study permit or study experience you're looking at verifying. So if you have particular types of pharmacy or medical experience, there are only certain organizations that you can use, but everything else, generally, you can use any of the ones that are listed here. It just depends on their processing times and how long and how much you want to pay in terms of their application fees too.
I'm just scrolling through here, Alicia. I had no idea that Igor did this.
Really?
this this is really good. So that's exactly why you hire people that are smarter than you to work in your firm. So Igor did this back on July 20th, and what a great resource! How to choose an
Yeah.
ECA.
I've
Oh,
been referring people
fantastic.
there for a while, Mark.
Well, there you go. That's because the content, you guys, that's getting pushed out here. Like, we have got a ton of content that is grown up here on our website, and everybody's on board, committed to writing blog posts, timely blog posts related to all sorts of issues. Immigration is constantly changing. So look at that. I am a lucky man to have awesome people around me. Okay. Sarah says, would you please advise on research associate knock? Is it 41200 or 41201? Worked after PhD. Thank you so much. This is 100% one of these, Sarah. And yeah, the reality is, in order to, well, Alicia, explain, how do we choose our knocks?
Yeah. So, Sarah, we need more details about what you did, what your kind of activities were at that job, and what your main duties were. And that's exactly what we use. So, if you are able to purchase Mark's course, we have a chart and we have a knock comparison tool where we go through and we line things up, and then we're able to really, on a line by line basis, understand what is the actual knock saying, and we can do it for two different knocks and see which one best fits. And then you're going to line up what your job duties were, what you did at that job, what your employer is going to confirm and say that you did at that job. And we line that up in the middle. And then you've got an explanation column on the right-hand side to be able to figure out, well, explain a little bit about what you did, or how do you fit this, even though the employer is not necessarily saying it in their letter. So we've got these next knock selection tools that we use, which makes it really easy to visualize and be able to justify which knock should you be choosing. So
And so
that's one
that's
thing that I would
yeah,
recommend. Yeah.
that's a resource that we have for the students in the class, and we have a few sample reference letters too, because apparently you guys like that. So we've got over 30 here, all applicants with approved applications that are all redacted, but so you guys can see that the form of the letter really doesn't matter. They are all different kinds of formats. But what you don't want to do, and this is kind of one of my top 3 tips to avoid disaster in an express entry application, is not to use the letter templates that you find on websites online or some samples that people are giving out. Because if you've got 2 employers, one's in Canada, one's in India, and they both have the exact style of reference letter, as an immigration officer, if I was to put my old hat on, I would be like, that's unusual. And they're going to start to question whether or not it's legitimate. So remember, there are certain times when it doesn't matter, like letters of explanation, which also we have templates in our course. Use those. I couldn't care less if every person in the whole express entry pool uses one of those letters of explanation templates, because it doesn't matter. This is a tool used to help explain. But when it comes to reference letters, yeah, it's the
So
content over the form. Yeah.
So what Mark means is, it does matter. You do need to have a good client letter of explanation, but
Yes.
the visualization of it, how it looks on the page can look
Yeah.
similar to how other people have done it. It's just that the content you do have to personalize. And so make sure that when you are doing your knock comparisons, you're getting it right for comparing your lead statement and the majority of the main duties. So those are the things that immigration officers care about, because that's what they're assessing you against.
Exactly. This right on the magical page, this program delivery instruction talks about proof of experience. And you can see the following documents are mandatory: a reference letter or experience letter from the employer, which should be on official letterhead, include the company's name and contact, the address, telephone number, and email address, and the name, title, and signature of the immediate supervisor or personnel officer of the company. And then this is really what I'm talking about. So I don't care what it looks like in terms of the style or the font or those kinds of things, but it needs to indicate all positions held while employed at the company and must include the following details. And notice, that's the word, you guys, must. If it doesn't, then you start to run the risk that an officer has discretion to refuse. And we also talk about that in the course, and we go through this carefully within our firm when you hire us. So job title, duties and responsibilities, job status, dates worked for the company, number of hours per week, and annual salary plus benefits. And Alicia, if you were to pick 3 out of here, I'm going to put you on the spot. What are the 3 most common things missing from the standard reference letters that we get from, let's see if yours are the same as mine, that we get from employers? So of these items here that are essential, what do you think are what are your 3 top that you see always missing from them?
Yeah. Most employers always miss the benefits, right? They might put the salary, but they almost always miss the benefits. So that's one thing that I've noticed with a lot of employer letters. The other thing that they sometimes just miss entirely is the number of hours working per week. Like
Yep.
sometimes they'll just say it's a full-time job, but they don't say how many hours per week. And immigration really cares. It really makes a big difference. It's got to hit that magical number of 30 for Canadian experience class in order to qualify as your full-time hours. Or if you're looking at combining part-time hours, they're not going to count over 30 when you're combining 2 different types of part-time work. So be careful with your hours of work, and then be careful of the benefits. Um, Job title, most of the time people put their job titles in there, duties and responsibilities, those have to match up with the knock.
Yep.
Sometimes people forget to put job status, like they won't say currently still employed with us in this capacity. So that's another thing that I do notice.
Yeah. And that's right in line with me. Rarely do I see complete duties and responsibilities. Very, very rarely. There might be some light reference to it, but not enough for you to prove that you actually are hitting tier 1, 2, or 3. So the tier level above 3 or above. And then hours of work per week, no, they don't ever put that in. They say maybe it's a permanent full-time position. And that's
Yeah.
not good enough for me. I want the exact hours, because for immigration, they need to be sure that it's at least 30. And then even the salary and benefits for sure. Those are the three that we often see missing. So when I go back to the course, let's see if I can find it here, these sample reference letters, what I'm showing here, and I'll pull up one as an example, is that you can see the letter has all different kinds of formats. Okay. So it doesn't, these can look like they should look consistent with what that company who issued the letter, how they issue them. So you can see there's all different kinds. And so we've got, a wide variety that you can see. But just as an example, we also do have a sample employer reference letter, but it's purely just to help you identify each of the pieces. What if I can't get a reference letter? The record of employment checklist that often you can give to your employer and say, hey, this is what I need to do. Can you produce a letter that has this stuff in it? Then those are some of the tips that we provide to those who join us in the actual course. All right. Okay, wow, our time is just soaring past. Let's see. We'll get one more for Sarah here. She says, can we get an employer letter for past jobs anytime or they expire? Is there expiry date on those, Alicia?
So in some circumstances, you just can't go back and ask that employer from years ago for another employment letter because maybe your supervisor's moved on or the company just doesn't want to give you an updated letter. So it might not be possible. So in some circumstances, you might have to use a letter that you received a few years ago. And basically, you're going to hope that they did that properly. And if they didn't, then you're going to need to be able to get some additional information to try to prove that you're meeting the not category and prove that that period of work experience that you're claiming, you can be backing it up with pay stubs and tax documents and maybe letters from other people that you worked with at that company. So yes, you can get them from before, but they probably have missed a bunch of stuff and you're probably going to need to do a little bit more legwork now to fix that. So Sarah, please book a consult if you're
Yeah.
going through this situation so that we could help you directly and make sure that these letters are up to snuff.
Yes. And just a little reminder, you guys, all you have to do is go to Holthe Immigration Law. It's holthelaw.com is the domain, and you can just click on the link below. And all you need to do is click on speak to a lawyer right here, slide over to Alicia's profile, click on book a 25 or 50-minute consult, and the rest is history. All right, let's touch on our last questions here. So let's see. All right. Mart Melly. That is a crazy profile thing. Okay, hi. My Express Entry profile was submitted with a job offer and approved LMIA on September. I'm trying to get nominated by Alberta through the Alberta Advantage immigration program. Do I have any chance to get nominated on an ITA this year? We don't know where you're
Yeah.
living. Are you in Alberta? I'm assuming that Mart probably is in Alberta, but
Yeah. And it's interesting because the AAIP has basically shut down their draws. They haven't been doing draws since the summer, and it's probably because they're getting close to their maximum nominations for the year. So if you take a look at the inventory, and I think we did this maybe a week or two ago too,
yeah,
it's updated as of November 22nd, so
2
this
days
week.
ago.
Yeah, and if you look down, so they have a maximum nomination of 6,500 for this year, for 2022, and then they've already nominated a bunch of people so far based on who had applications in the pool from a few months ago. So they're getting pretty darn close to their total for the year. We're almost at December. So there's only about a month left. So they have a whole bunch of people still sitting in AOS, the Alberta Opportunity Stream, and they have fewer people. They tend to pick from the Alberta Express Entry Stream. So there's about 290 applicants in there. And just because, these numbers are pretty high doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply because they do rolling draws. Um, And they're also targeting different types of occupations and job offers and all sorts of things. So one of the factors that tends to give you a better chance at getting a nomination through the Alberta Advantage immigration program is having that job offer from an Alberta employer. So keep up. Be careful about job offer points though, because just because you have a job offer for the purposes of a PNP doesn't mean that you necessarily meet a job offer for the purposes of express entry arranged employment points. So please take a look at my blog article on that because I go through it extensively. I did do a video too, and I'm not sure if it's released yet or not, but there's an article on our blog that goes through arranged employment. So it's, can I get CRS points for a job offer in my express entry application? So that one is going to be helpful if you are trying to claim arranged employment points on the federal express entry profile.
We've got so many, I'm looking at here, we've got so many blogs here now, Alicia, that it's hard. The searcher is not, it's not searching as far. Do you remember when you did that blog post?
It was on the first page, but yeah, right there on the right
There it is
with
right
the
here,
pencil.
October 10th. So yeah, check that one out. And then obviously there's also on the YouTube channel, we have other resources as well here. So check those ones out. Okay, awesome. All right. We're we up against it right now. Let's see if we can hit just a couple quick ones. Okay, Nisha says, hey, Mark and Alicia, does a person need an LMIA if they are a CAC candidate already working in the same NOC for 15 months? So,
Nisha, go read that article.
Yes, simple as that. Read the article. Okay, and then we've got Rashi who says, good afternoon. I'm a supervisor in trades in Ontario. I've done several short courses based on requirements for supervisors in Ontario. Can I get 50 points for Providence certification? So provincial certification, I think, is what he's talking about. And
yeah, so make sure you're going to qualify under the federal skilled trades category. If you're looking at those certificates of qualification, then you've got to prove that you fall within one of those occupations. So you need to look at your NOC, and then you also need to make sure that you've done whatever you need to do to be a regulated trade in whatever trade you're claiming. So yeah, this is not just any sort of qualifications. It has to be that whatever the trade requirements are for your type of occupation, you've complied with the provincial requirements and can prove that. Sometimes it's red seal, sometimes it's a provincial sign-off, basically.
Yes. All right. Okay, last question is from Sudan. Proof of funds for study permit extension. How much dollars do we actually need to show? This is a great one. So you're already in Canada on a study permit, you're looking to extend, and it's asking for funds. So is there like a minimum? Is there something that...
So if you look at the program delivery instructions, Sudan, normally they say that they want to be able to see that you can afford to pay your tuition, so whatever your full tuition is, plus living expenses, and it does depend on your family size. So if you've got dependents, that amount will be higher, but generally for one applicant, it's about $10,000 Canadian per year. Plus, if you have other dependents, another $4,000 per dependent. So generally, that's kind of the ballpark of what immigration is looking for. They want to be able to know that you can pay your tuition plus living expenses of about $10,000 per year.
Perfect. All right. Well, our time is spent, and we really appreciate everybody who chipped in with some good questions today for our live Q&A. We are always here every Wednesday and Thursday. Alicia and I are negotiating a change in start time for this live, so we may be pushing it off to noon. So watch for that start time on our YouTube channel. If we go back to the main one here, let me just pull it up. Okay, when on our YouTube channel, you can always watch and see when the lives are coming. And you can, every live that we do is turned around, and there's Alicia's, yes, you definitely guys need to check this out. Can you claim CRS for a job offer? So that has been released. So check out that video from Alicia, and then come here frequently and subscribe to the channel. So that, and when we post the reminders and we schedule our lives, you can always go in and set it up for a reminder so you don't miss them. But there's a ton of content on here, you guys. Now We've got lots of really good standalone videos to help with certain aspects of the process. So get in there and check those out, and make sure you share it with people that you think would benefit from it as well. Finally, we'll wrap up just with a couple little things. I'll just go back to the main site here. Tonight is the last night that I have my spousal sponsorship course. Yes, there I am. That I have the spousal sponsorship course, but you can still get access to it and watch the recordings of all the live Q&As. We're going to leave that card open for just a little bit for those who are looking at sponsoring a spouse. And then, like I said, the study permit course, the masterclass portion is going to launch December 12th, but the materials will be ready December the 1st. And if you pre-purchase in advance of the release, you get $50 off of the price of that. And I'm really excited about this one because with this comes, like I said before, there should be a link in the description here. We have our webinar tomorrow, so please click in and register for that webinar and join me at 8 a.m. And it's all about my top 3 tips for avoiding disaster within the study permit process. So check that out. And those of you who are now getting ITAs or have an EAPR, you've been asking us questions. You're wondering, how do we get access to these NOC selection tools and these letters of explanation templates and all of these how-tos? It's all right here. The masterclass starts on Monday, and you can just simply click right in here and take a look at the exact breakdown. Oh, there it is again. Wow, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Okay. Boy, you guys will get irritated with that by the time. You better register quick. So you can see all the modules, every lesson, everything is all broken down here. All of the records, walkthroughs of all of these pieces, principal applicant, accompanying spouse, dependent children, all of this is all available on demand, so you can watch it at your leisure. And I strongly encourage, if you're interested in taking the course, that you subscribe and start working your way through all the course lessons, so that when the time comes and we're ready to do the master class, you can build up all of your questions, and we have our own private community group where the questions can be posted. And if you can't make it right at the start time of the live Q&As, you can still get every one of your questions answered by posting it in the community group, and then I answer it in the live. All right. Okay. Prashant says, can I get the join link for the study permit webinar? Go to the CanadianImmigrationInstitute.com website right here. And when you go here, I wonder if it still keeps popping up. Yeah, it does. When you go here, it will pop up, and then you can click join the webinar. Now, let me just see if I can. Oh, no, I can't because of the goofiness. Okay, I'll show you guys here. You should be able to access this without problems, but let's just expand this up a bit. Okay, see the URL right there. It basically says CanadianImmigrationInstitute.com/registration-page. So for those of you who are watching and wondering, oh, how am I going to log in and get this? That's how you do it, or go straight to the Canadian Immigration Institute website. And from there, you should be able to, if I go back here, it'll probably even pop up again. It should pop up either here or on our firm website. Okay. And that is, that's kind of the update with what's going on. I look forward to having you join. We have a great group of people that have already registered for the Express Entry course, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm really looking forward to tomorrow to share those tips. And then there'll be a Q&A portion at the end, a short little one that will be available, because we've got all these Q&As. You guys can ask all the questions you want. But for the webinar, it's really going to be a teaching moment for me to share some real information to help you guys, some practical information. All right. Any last comments there, Alicia, as we sign off?
No, I mean, I think the only other comment is the courses are fantastic if you're muddling through this and you're trying to do it on your own. If you do know that you need more help, we're also here. You can hire us to actually help you step by step, go through every single screen with you, one-on-one, look through all your documents in shared folders. So, we also offer that service. So we have something, if you are not able to pay a ton of money and you can just do the do-it-yourself course, then that's a fantastic resource. If you need a whole bunch more help, then we're here for you too.
Absolutely. So as much or as little help as you need, that's where we're at. Now, Prashant, watch your email. So now that you've registered for it, you will get an email probably around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. That will have the link for you to join into the webinar. So watch the email that you used to register, and we will see you guys there tomorrow. All right. Thank you. Take care.